Hey guys, welcome to A Little Help for Our Friends, the podcast for people with loved ones struggling with mental health.
Hey, little helpers, it's Dr. Kibby here. Before we dive into this episode, I wanted to tell you how I could help you navigate the mental health or addiction struggles of the people you love. Mind is the online coaching platform and community that I built to support you in the moment when you need it the most, like having hard conversations, asserting your needs, or setting boundaries. Even if you're just curious and want to chat about it, book a free call with me by going to the link in the show notes or going to coolamind.com, KULAMIND.com, and click Get Started. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Hi, little helpers. Welcome to our wrap up episode. We are wrapping up season 5 of A Little Help for Our Friends, going on about a month and a half of a break. And we just like to do these retrospectives where we look back at what we've learned this year and also like personal stuff, the changes that have happened over the last year, which are numerous. So, Kibby, what's on your mind from the last year?
I mean, we just did a juicy episode on your whole grad school experience, and that's going to be released in the beginning of season 6. So check that out. I'm like, oh, like basically, like we have to comb through to make sure that everything in there is kosher. So there's a lot of stuff in there too.
Probably as a grad school episode could be. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I
so
learned
like,
about things about my own life through talking to you on that grad school episode that shock and terrify me. So
really? Oh man, I thought it would be like relieving. I guess like,
we'll talk after.
okay. Oh shit. So we started the season last year, 2024 in October. I was just finishing my cancer treatment and getting surgery and settling into being a CEO and co-founder of a company, and co-founding the Cool Mind community and the app, and going through like after the trauma of cancer, kind of realizing like it's funny going through cancer. You're in like literally survival mode. So you're just going through like, okay, I have to get this treatment and that treatment and this treatment. But then I feel like the emotional effects of it came out afterwards. So I actually think that probably this season, October till now, was emotionally probably one of the harder years that I remember. So I kind of like dug into my own trauma and tried to understand that and digest that a little bit more. And I think it reflected in our episodes on, toxic relationships and family dynamics and emotional immaturity and of course narcissism. Yeah. So we
You
delved
got
into
more personal than ever this year. And
I got what? I got more personal. Yeah.
You got more personal. A lot of people responded really powerfully to it too. I think it was an
Yeah.
episode, the self-hatred episode, that meant a lot to people. We
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of feedback about it.
Yeah, that was really scary to do because I was in a phase where I was like spiraling that day.
Yeah.
I was triggered and kind of like awash with like, oh, I realized that all the things that I've dealt with as a kid. It's funny, trauma's really funny, especially childhood trauma, because you know it intellectually. You're like, oh God, my childhood was so hard. And I
Mhm.
know I have all these weird symptoms because of it. Like I'm like really insecure in relationships or blah blah blah, right? You might know intellectually, but there's sometimes in therapy or moments of insight where you're like, oh my God, like I went through trauma. Like it didn't, and it clicked for me only after, oh yeah, because I got into an argument with my mom after I got my last surgery, my most major surgery when I was one of the most vulnerable times in my life. And it just brought up all these old memories. And then I was so stupid that I went to a clinical training about like how to work with children who were abused as children and like family therapy training of like
Yeah.
physical, sexual, all sorts of violence. And so sitting there for 2 days, hearing stories of kids going through trauma, brought up some of my trauma. And I was like, fully like, oh my God. like I was one of those kids. Right. So that was just a whole that was fun. That was so the self-hatred episode, I was like spinning, and I don't forgot what we were going to talk about that day, but we decided to pivot and say like, let's just talk about this. Let's talk about what I'm going through. And
Do
that was
you
really crazy.
do you feel, I mean, it has been a journey this year of like really kind of um uncovering the emotional memories and realizing the impact that that trauma has had on you and your identity and how you feel about yourself. And then kind of saying for the first time that you deal with self-hatred. And it is interesting
Hmm.
because we had a self-hatred like expert on
Hmm.
episodes before that. And then suddenly you're like, wait, this is me. Do
Hmm.
you feel differently today?
I would like to say that I am all cured. Like now that I see it and forgiven myself and given myself
Yeah.
grace and done all the therapy things. But it goes in and out. I think that the biggest change now is that my inner workings, like all my neuroses that I have on a daily basis, like trying to work really, really hard on a big, impossible professional goal and beating myself up over it. Like, why am I not good enough? Why I'm so behind other people to do better. Like, I'm realizing how much of that is like a constant soundtrack in my mind. And I think I knew but I'm like watching it on
Yeah.
a daily basis. So I think I'm more aware of it and more aware of like the gravity of it. I think I was so attached to and like secure in my coping mechanisms of being strong and, self-sufficient and professionally, strong that like having a kid and cancer stripped all that away so hard that I was like, whoa, I was really had to confront all of these, you know, the effects of trauma. And I can't say that I'm like cured now. I struggle it on a daily basis, but I'm much more aware of it now, in a new way. Like I've taken a step back and I've been like, oh, I have been wearing orange goggles for the past 39 years. And it's not like I took off the goggles or threw them away, but I could see that I
Yeah.
know that the world is not orange anymore. So, yeah. So I'm at like a stage of healing that's like I've been grieving it more lately and seeing it for what it is. So,
I mean,
doesn't feel good.
I would be shocked if you were like, I love myself, everything is great. I think seeing,
Me too, man. I'm trying
yeah,
to get there with manifestation, right? Our last episode of like like thinking my way out of my trauma. I'm lovable. I'm good enough.
I think seeing the goggles is where, I mean, I would consider that a massive win if I were a therapist, right? And my patient said
Yeah.
that to be able to say, like, this isn't automatic, this isn't reality, this isn't automatic reality. I still buy into it a lot, but I can see why and I can see what's going on and I can at least begin to question it.
Yeah, there is it's funny, we were just talking to our friend about this. Like there is a sadness and a bummer, like a resignation when you see that because I think this we get into these like coping mechanisms, these like hamster wheels of like here is how I compensate for my core wound, right? I do this thing. I'm good at school. I chase this. I do that. Like I
Yeah.
have this addiction. And when you see it for what it is as a coping mechanism of like, just something that's always there, there is this bummer of like, oh, this hamster wheel doesn't go anywhere. This is just a hamster wheel. I thought this was like the road, like my marathon to like across the country, but it's literally just a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
And I'll get off this one, I'll get on another one. So it's just like seeing it for what it is kind of takes the hope away that running on a hamster wheel will actually get you forward.
I mean, yeah, but yeah, I mean, I see so many clients who like, beat up on themselves, and I think the hope is that, and I do it with body image too, I think the hope is that like if they punish themselves enough and put enough attention on the problem, then like that'll motivate them to change things, and it doesn't seem to work. And so at least understanding like I think this is kind of a faulty process it's actually not going to take me towards my dreams is at least the first major step, like the first step that has any promise of changing things.
Hmm.
But it is hard to take that next step because I still beat myself up, and so do you.
Yeah, it's like, well, then what am I going to get on another? Like, I'm going to run somewhere else. Like, what? Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to, yeah, it's hard to let go because also it's like it's such a part of your identity, right? Like, I'm on this hamster wheel and I'm a person who runs on this hamster wheel, and you don't know what else you're going to do, right? You're going to relax, or you're going to forgive yourself. Like,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, right. Accepting my body, it feels like that would never somehow motivate me to like work out more, have a healthier.
to be like, I'm beautiful no matter what shape and size I am. Or,
Right.
by the way, do you feel like you are more concerned with your body image these days, or are you more vocal about it, or is this like has always been the case? Because
Well,
we've been talking about it more lately, like, explicitly, but I was wondering if this is a change for you.
it's because of the weight gain. I mean, before
Mm-hmm.
the weight gain, I was still obsessed with my body, but it was more about my body shape than weight. I would have like target areas of my body that I was obsessed with. And then lipo took care of that in some ways. And now it's more about like whether the weight has gone to my face and destroyed my face, which I was always quite fond of. I actually never had insecurities with my face before.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that having my weight before I had like a thing that I hated, but having my weight feel like it was taken out of my control. I don't know if that was the SSRI or if that was age, or if I changed behavior. That really freaked me out and kind of made me obsessive as well.
Yeah. Hmm. Well, you had internship and you had a year in New York, something that um, you were yearning for, in some ways, yearning for being at Duke and being in North Carolina. You're like, oh, there was a part of you that like missed it here. And now
Yeah.
you got to be here and you got, internship. So what was that like for you?
Yeah, I'm trying to kind of process it. I mean, I think what I first noticed when I got to New York was how low my tolerance for it had gotten. I started having like my parents visited me in my first like week there or something. And I remember we went to the MoMA and I was like, I cannot handle this. Like the crowds are driving me nuts. I was having to do paced breathing. I was angry. Like I was really, my nerves were really, really frayed. Um, and then you let me stay in your awesome place for a couple months, and that was miraculous because it was in like a great area of town and it was just nice. And then I like moved into my real apartment, and it just the area sucked and like the it was really convenient subway wise. That was why it was chosen. But like if anybody's on YouTube, like you can only see a little tiny bit of my bedroom, but my house is like palatial. And that's not because Jason and I are rich. That's because we live in North Carolina and because I'm comparing it to my New York apartment. I just have way, way lower tolerance for the discomforts of New York. Um, and that really wore on me, and I was happy in a way because I didn't want to fall back in love with New York. But I also didn't want to fall out of love with New York. And I was really kind of teetering that line. And I think I basically achieved that where I'm like, I don't think I could survive in New York unless I had a ton of money and could like buy myself space and never have to leave in the winter, like never have to go outside. But I still love New York, and I felt this year it really healed me in a way because as we'll talk about in the grad school episode that you'll have to listen to in a month and a half, I did not feel comfortable at Duke. I immediately when I stepped foot in North Carolina, I was like, I am not meant to be here. Like nobody here gets me. I feel like I'm too much. I feel like I'm too loud. I need to tone myself down. Oh no, I've toned myself down too much. Now people think I'm like insecure and quiet and weird. And it was this 5 years of feeling uncalibrated. And then I step into New York and I'm like, oh, there I am. Like, people like me again. I can be who I want to be. I can present the way I actually am. I had like an amazing training director at my internship site who was also my PTSD supervisor. And she, like, literally, if I think about her for more than 3 seconds, I'll choke up. Like, she just like really rescued my self-esteem. um, and liked
How
me.
so?
She liked me. She admired me. She didn't think I was a walking liability. She, and like I don't necessarily want to compare her to like my advisor got the the person that needed to be sculpted for 5 years, so he got like an unformed mass of clay, and he had a harder job of it than she did. So I'm not trying to like do a contrast there, but she got more of a finished product, but one that had her self-esteem like kind of not destroyed, certainly, but hurt, over a long time. Not by Duke only, but like by the internet. And um I just I would walk into her office and feel like I'm gonna be like admired and accepted and just fundamentally liked for who I am and the work that I do. And that meant the world to me. And that's just how I felt, at my internship site for a year. Like the patient population was tough. The Bronx VA is, I mean, just like uncomfortable place in various ways. But it was like really, really what I needed. And most of my, like 80% probably of my friends live in New York City. So I was back into my community. I was just rescued in certain ways. So that was really needed. And now I'm glad to be in warm weather again and my big house with my boyfriend, except not really because I'm going to Africa tomorrow.
It's gonna be so cool. What are you gonna do in Africa?
I'm literally going for 5 weeks with just a backpack, and a sleeping bag. So I'm going to be on safari for 17 days. Actually, then I'll be doing another safari for 3 days. So more like 20 days of camping. And that is going to be through Zimbabwe and Botswana and South Africa. And then I'm going to be volunteering at a conservation in Namibia. And that'll be the second safari also. I'll be going through the Namib Desert. And
It's gonna be awesome. That's
it's
gonna be
gonna
so
be
cool.
awesome, but it's like, oh my God, like when you have to actually go and do something epic, it makes you scared the day before.
Write a journal. Write a journal because like I was just thinking that we should do some episodes when you come back about traveling to such a different place. So many things that could come up, but like
Yeah.
write a journal, like actually physically get a little journal and write down where you went, what was like, because you're going to forget all the day-to-day stuff and you're going to
Yeah.
look back on that and wish you had like where did I eat on that Tuesday, or like what
Yeah.
was it like when I went to this store or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, my dream growing up was to be a zoologist or like a conservationist. So I want to get pregnant in a year, so I wanted the chance to volunteer on a conservation at least one time in my life before I had kids. Actually, funny enough, my training director, she has a 12-year-old or 13-year-old, and they like go volunteer on conservations a lot together. So I'm like, maybe I'll do it again in my future. But yeah, it's a big year. And New York kind of reseduced me a little bit in the end there. It was like beautiful weather, and um that's it really. That's all it takes. But, yeah, my first day back, I was a little dissociated and sad, and I didn't want to show Jason that I was sad because I just wanted him to experience me being happy to see him again, and I was, but I was also grieving something. So there's that.
Yeah. I mean, you just closed out a huge chapter in your life. Like it flies by, but it was also like a better part of a decade. We were different people when we started grad school and all this journey becoming psychologists. Like it really was like transformative on so many levels, and took us different like emotional spaces and challenges and physical locations, right? And you just finished all that, right? So it's just like, of course there's like a like a adrenaline letdown, grief, like it's done.
Yeah.
This is, you're in a new chapter of your life, which is going to be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, grad school's over, and that's crazy to think about. I actually am Dr. Trumbull now. It's not even like a, well, in a month and a half, is it the degree been conferred yet? I'm like, no, I'm Dr. Trumbull. That's weird. Um, I no longer am going to be like evaluated all the time. I'm no longer going to like be underpaid, which is great. You know, that's like a really, really huge relief that the work that I do will be compensated appropriately. um, yeah, I don't have to scrounge or what, like, I can, I can build a savings account and a 401k and enter adulthood and start like building something with Jason. So
You're an
I'm
adult
anticipating
now.
this as being my last year, like before pregnancy. I don't know if that's, I don't know how that'll go, but and now that's a new frontier that you're looking at too. I don't know if you want to say anything about that because I know it's been heartbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in a weird place today, and I haven't shared this on the podcast yet, but we had been wanting a second, and it was already second kid, and it was already a grieving process that I couldn't get pregnant. Like um, it's not safe for me to get pregnant. I probably could if I wanted to, but it's not safe because it might bring my cancer back, right? Because my cancer feeds off of hormones. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to do surrogacy, and that's gonna require IVF. So I had 22 eggs frozen from when I divorced my ex-husband. Um, and I went and got, I'm sure there's like an episode where I talk about like, egg freezing and all that. But I had 22 eggs frozen, and I was like, okay, good. That's 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 secure. And so I went into chemo and all my cancer treatment, um, being like, okay, I know that chemo is supposed to actually like really kill fertility. And so younger women have to preserve their fertility before going into chemo. And I was like, oh, I'm good, I'm fine. Well, I am like, okay, finally finished with all the cancer treatment, and let's get started on this, making the second. And so I was just nervous, and I said, I want to do it in batches. I want to thaw 14 eggs first and then the other 8 later, just in case. And I had frozen them like, I was 34, and my husband and I got pregnant after that. So I was pretty confident, naturally, right? Like I was pretty confident that we're a good genetic match and the eggs are okay. They were,
Yeah.
young. And then I was shocked. We were shocked to find out that we went through trying to fertilize those 14 eggs, and none of them were viable, meaning like I got no embryos out of that. And I want to say that because anyone listening who got the message that egg freezing is like a foolproof insurance policy, meaning like this is a way to guarantee that you have another kid. I'm hearing now more and more, which I cannot believe this. Like, I can't believe how much information you get after a tragedy. Like, no one tells you about these things, but I'm hearing that more and more people are realizing that is not a guarantee.
Yeah.
That they might say this to you when you do freeze your eggs, but it doesn't really hit until later. But when you freeze eggs and then thaw them to try to make embryos out of them, um, the thought a lot of them die off.
Yeah, about
You
half.
Yeah, and I didn't know that. Like they're basically you're freezing water bags. Like you basically, and so they're so delicate that if they thaw, they might die and not survive the thaw. Meanwhile, it is a lot more secure to freeze embryos, but if you don't have a partner, right, you don't that's not an option for you. So, 14 eggs are completely not like nothing came out of it. I was devastated. I was in Hawaii this summer, when we got the news, and I remember just being in like total shock, just sitting there with Alex, and it just brought up all of the feelings that I had about, when I had went through infertility with my first marriage. Like you feel so confident and so like, okay, I you almost picture it like, okay, I'm gonna have a kid. I'm going to have a kid this time. I'm going to get pregnant this time.
Yeah.
And then you get news that that is not what happens. And you have to grieve that like certainty and that certain future that you thought you had.
Yeah.
That was like honestly devastating. And I was like, I still am shocked. Like my doctor has no idea what happened. Not, it wasn't just the freezing, like the thawing. It was just like they just didn't come out right. I still have those 8 left, but then I'm trying to do IVF right now. Like I'm in the middle of my shots, and because of chemo, I'm not responding that well. So I don't know how many eggs I'm gonna get, if I'm gonna get any, and I don't know what that means. Like I'm terrified of what if something's wrong and those 8 are not gonna
Hmm.
happen. I didn't think about what it would be like not to have a second biological child. You know, we'll look into other options, and I might have to just like sit with the possibility that there might be donor egg situations, or I don't know. Like, but I'm at the end of my road with fertility, and that is just like a horrible feeling where this is it. Like these 8 eggs and whatever I get out of me now are my only chance of having a second biological child.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the most I don't have the word like agonizing part sometimes about y- like fertility is that you get your hopes just the roller coaster is insane. You get your hopes up. You think, gosh, I've done the responsible thing. I froze my eggs. 22 is a lot of eggs. Like I wouldn't have
Yeah.
frozen more than that. I've had 18, and I was like, yeah, 18 will be good for one kid. Probably good for 2 kids. But
Hmm. Hmm.
the attrition is it's monstrous and just knowing that like your actual chances are you only have like another chance or two or something is like sitting with that.
Yeah, that biological clock
Yeah.
like runs out, and yeah, that's just like a sobering reality. It's just
Hmm.
it's feels unfair. I'm like angry at cancer for taking this away from me. I'm angry at like at
Yeah.
myself for not being like have being able to tell the future and not freezing a million more, right?
Yeah.
But it it is what it is, and I just yeah. So I got the news yesterday that I we're not getting that many follicles and we don't know how many eggs we're going to get. And I asked him like, can I do another round of this? He was like, I don't recommend that. And so it just was like, this is it. This is the end. So I just been like the past 2 days I've just been like in not a great mood.
No shit. No
Yeah.
shit. I like I don't know how deeply you want to go into this because if I mean fertility, we have done episodes on it, but it's we're like working in the fertility clinic. It's just like it's so agonizing. It like consumes all of your attention. It brings up so much of, oh, as women, we often think of ourselves as like future mothers, and that's like number one role in life. And what does it mean if we can't have that? And then like you have one, but you'd always dreamed of having more, and everything that brings up, and so many things you just have to grieve and like compromise on and get comfortable with, and all of this. Like, I get angry every time I see an Instagram post that's like, Jennifer, like, whoever had a baby when she was 43, and then whoever else had a baby when she was 45. You're not too old. Like, you don't have to worry about it. I'm like, you do have to worry about it.
Yeah.
It sucks. I want to have this, like, power to the people, like, attitude, but I don't want to see anybody, like, in your position or what I might be in this position in a few years, because I'm starting late and then, like, 18 eggs is less than 22 and the attrition's crazy. And it's the most expensive and shittiest insurance policy ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Those stories of like, Cameron Diaz has like 2 kids at 44. I mean, first of all, like what they don't say is that
Donor eggs.
she probably uh, who knows, yeah, donor eggs and an immense amount of money.
Yeah.
I mean, surrogacy, if it's not covered, is like can be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Hmm.
And it doesn't come, like, all of this fertility stuff doesn't come without like emotional and physical risks, right? It's like, it's so sad and painful. And although I'm so grateful that we have those options, like, my goodness, like, I'm so grateful we have fertility, but I fertility treatments, but yeah, I'm kind of like, I wish I wasn't so cavalier about, and wish I didn't take it so much for granted in my 20s that, like, oh, I'll have a kid later. I'll focus on my career now. I'm like, I could spend all the rest of, like, gosh willing, like, my cancer, stays away, but I could spend the next 30 years working on my career. I could start a new one right now. It's not going to be ideal. It's going to be hard, whatever, but I have no more eggs after this,
Yeah.
right? Like, that's different. So I kind of wish that at least younger women knew that this wasn't like, just really thought about it. Like, really thought about it before they were out of options.
Yeah, I mean, I can hear you doing the thing that everyone does when they feel out of control, which is blaming themselves. I
Yeah.
think you did everything you could have that within reason to do. I mean, you actually got married at a pretty young age. You tried getting pregnant years and years ago. It didn't work. You froze a bunch of eggs. You met another partner. You had a child. You could not have seen cancer coming. You had your fertility what seemed like shored up, and this just plain sucks. And it's like it's so unfair that cancer keeps taking.
If anyone out there believes in manifestation or is particularly skilled at spells, magic spells,
Hmm.
or affirmations, or like the secret or whatever, as we debunked or like laughed at in the episode before, but now, if you believe in it, please wish me luck to
Yeah.
have the second. And I understand.
Yeah.
I think it is helpful to think about, like, I think I actually took in what you said a while ago when you talked about manifestation, of like thinking about what it feels like, what that would feel like to get what you want, to get to your goal, right? And I'm so focused on, like, oh my god, my fertility stats, oh my god, like, what do I need to do, that, picturing having a second child and what that feels like and what I get out of it, that's part of what I'm trying to do. But also, it makes me more comfortable to say, I did not expect my family and my having a kid to turn out like this.
Yeah.
Like, I thought I was married to another person. I didn't foresee any of this. Um and what happened. So how I know that we want a second, and however that comes, donor egg, adoption, like, miracle, something, like, I have to be I have to be open to that and not
Yeah.
just be like, well, how are my follicles tomorrow,
Yeah. One of the best gifts I think from my year at the fertility clinic was I would have these patients and they would talk about how meaningless their lives would be if they didn't have a kid or a second kid, and I had to be like I had to look at myself and be like I don't want to feel that way. And the only way I can guarantee not feeling that way is by broadening my idea of meaning in my own life, right? And telling myself, like, imagining a future where I don't have kids or where I only have one kid, and figuring out how to be okay with that. Or donor eggs or something like that if I chose to do that.
Yeah.
Because it really sucks to have to do that in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You don't know what you're gonna grieve until, it's too late. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm just so sorry. This is a situation where I feel like people can get uncomfortable because they just want to fix it, and there's nothing to fix, and that's so hard.
Yeah, there's nothing to fix. I just hate those moments, like it hit me 2 days ago when I got my ultrasound. And when I first started the cycle, they were like, oh, okay, there's like 7 follicles, we're good. And then 2 days ago, I could see the doctor just almost like consoling me. Like, she was like, oh, it's still early yet. We'll see. the doctor will call you later after reviewing all the results. And I was like, what's wrong? She was like, oh, I just, maybe there's some I can't see yet. She was like trying to make me feel better. And I was like, why do you seem pitying? Like, why do you look like that? And yeah, it's just a hard thing to swallow. It's just like, and I also, but I also at the same time now I'm looking at my son and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I am so grateful I have him. I'm so grateful I had the opportunity to carry, get pregnant, breastfeed, have a biological child. Literally all of those things I did not. There was a good period of time where I was not sure that that was in my future.
Yeah.
So I'd be heartbroken here, but like I'm also very grateful for what I have.
Yeah. And that's good. And it also kind of sucks that you have to feel
That fucking
like
sucks.
it's okay to just feel bad.
Yeah.
I saw that a lot with like second time moms who were going through fertility where they felt like they didn't deserve to feel as bad as they did because they had one kid. Like they were one of the like quote unquote lucky ones. It's like it still sucks. It's
Yeah.
heartbreaking.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, there's no way around it. It's kind of, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Right? We'll see what happens. But it's been an interesting year coming out of the cancer, and like I funnel a lot of my like thoughts and energy into Cool Mind, which has been like also like a very healing experience in many ways because I think kind of it's different from you that you seem to always want to look forward to be on your own and be your own boss and not be like in an institution. And
Yeah.
I love that. I actually like crave that. I have like weird obsessive dreams about summer camp. Like literally every dream to the point where I'm like reinforcing it. Like I think I'm talking about it so much that every night I have a dream that I'm like in a summer camp program like with other adults and it's like in a hotel or a camp or there's some like insular contained community of people with a certain time period. That's like the theme of my dreams. And it's because I think a lot of things, but I think it's because like there most of my life was that, right? Most of your life is school or like some kind of cohort or community or program that when you're out in the world, you're like, I had a hard time being like, what do I do now? Like, what is the right way? Like, can anyone tell me the right way to build a business? Can anyone, like, I'm in a, what, I'm,
Very much with you on.
okay, well, you get
I mean,
it.
I
Like,
do want to be I do want to be alone and my own boss and everything, but that has more to do with like social stuff. But the terror of being like
mm,
I've been in a place where I've been told what to do for my whole life
yeah,
and now I'm not, like that scares the shit out of me.
there's no grown-ups.
Yeah.
And I spent the past year or so, I'm still doing this. Like, I'm still looking for someone to tell me what the right way to go about this. And I'm intentionally doing things uncharted, right? Like I could easily just continue doing practice and research, like the well-worn paths for psychologists, but I have chosen to co-found my own company, incorporate AI, which no one knows what's going on, do like kind of an online coaching community program, which is also kind of a new concept in mental health, and to support loved ones, like families, partners, and caregivers of people struggling with mental health. So it's not like the normal therapy patient, it's like support around the therapy patient. So there's like so many levels of me just not knowing what the hell I'm doing. And I just been desperate to like, oh, at first I was like, oh, the startup world, they're all trying to get into these accelerators and VC funding, and let me figure out what that's all about. And I was like, there's parts of it that don't feel right, and their advice feels weird, but I feel like now I'm trying to please them or trying to fit into what they want from me. And then like the same thing over and over again. I'm like, oh no, they don't know what they're doing either, and no one knows what they're doing. I'm alone. I'm like there's no summer camp. I'm too old for summer camp now. Like now I'm like on my own and there's no grown up over me. It's just me. like it's terrifying.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know where I was going with that, but just like it's been a weird experience having to come to terms with that. Come to terms with like, what do I want?
I'm
Like
always
what
amazed by entrepreneurs. Like, I just don't, I just straight up, I wouldn't know the first step to take. Like, and yeah, so whenever you text me like scared about this ring, it's just about, I'm like, yeah, I know, I don't know what to say. I would
no one
be
knows. That's a secret.
scared.
No one knows. It's just that certain people, like certain like straight white men like the Zuckerberg and Adam Newman, what I'm learning is that they don't know more. They just like are more comfortable acting like they do.
Guys, Kibby's obsessed with Adam Newman right now. I
I
just
am
want to
obsessed. I spent like my co-founder came in and hung out for the summer for like part of the summer, and we watched like The Social Network and the WeWork founder Adam Newman, like the documentaries and the shows, and then we also watched a little of the Super Pumped, the Uber
know. Yeah.
CEO. And it's fun because it's just kind of like this like vaudeville like variety show of like hardcore narcissists that just were like, yeah, I'm the future. You could get on board with this vision or be left behind. I am it. And they're running on empty. They have zero idea what they're doing. They're just like shooting from the seat of their pants. Like, I just forget that Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook because he was just trying to make a website rating women for hotness in his school, and then stole the website idea from other people, and then was just like, yeah, well, I made it better. So like I was like, oh, these like gods among us are just they just don't know. There No one knows what they're doing. They just have confidence in themselves, and
Yeah.
sometimes delusional confidence in themselves, and I'm like, okay, here I go.
Kibby's like, I gotta be like them. I gotta be like them, like the
I
scam
gotta be
artists.
like them. Oh my god, scam artists seem so happy. They're just like, yeah, I know what to do. I know what's up. Like, you seem really happy with that. Whereas I'm like, am I doing it right? Do I know? I'm compulsively signing up for other clinical trainings, even though we have probably the most clinical training of all the people in the world.
Yeah.
And that's me being like the narcissist, trying to be like the narcissism, like we know what we're doing when it comes to psychology, and yet I am right now finishing another certification process for a different kind of clinical work.
Ooh, which one?
Why? Craft for loved
Um,
ones of people with substance use.
oh,
So
well, at least it's relevant.
yeah, it's very relevant. But like what, like everything I'm learning, I'm like, yeah, I know this already. But what's wrong with me? So that's how I am
Maybe,
this year.
maybe if I'm just a little bit more legit, if I just know a little bit more,
Well,
then I'll have that confidence to just go and kill it
one
out.
day I'll be like, finally, I've arrived at
Right.
age 40.
Right.
PhD. Anyway, hamster wheels. Am I right?
You are right.
Um,
Mm,
the other thing I wanted to mention about this past year is that something that I've learned. First of all, I've like dove in deep into marketing and trying to get into social media. If
yeah.
anyone's listening, please go to Cool a Mind on Instagram and please follow me because I'm working so hard as a 39-year-old cancer survivor trying to figure out how to make reels. Thank you very much.
Guilting people.
No, I'm
Cancer.
not guilting people. I'm straight up bullying people into following me. Okay? I not enough.
As a cancer survivor, you should follow
Okay, yeah, that's a little. There we go. A little guilting. Yeah, you're right.
me. No, I mean, you
Using all
should.
my methods.
If cancer's taken so much, it can give this
You
one
could
to
follow
Jen.
me.
Yeah.
You could follow me. Um, so I've mostly been learning social media to kind of do market testing and really get an idea of what people want and how. And I'm really this is my new skill I'm trying to learn and obsess about. How do you distill what we know, like all of our knowledge? How do we distill it to like a 30-second reel where you have to capture people's attention when they're brain rot scrolling on the bathroom through funny memes,
Yeah.
right? Like that's actually it's a really important part of marketing these days, and it's actually such a hard skill that I am trying to learn to capture, to be like, I have to make you care about validation of your loved one with depression in 30 seconds, right? Like 3 seconds actually you get is the hook. That's why I learned hook. So I'm trying to learn this, and I hit on a couple of viral reels where I am just like I'm just talking about like kind of making a real out of like I said is like my your POV, your husband's exploding in anger, drinking more, and going down alt-right YouTube channels. And I didn't know that that was a derogatory term. I'm such an idiot because I just got that term from the women who told me that this was the case, so I just wrote it.
Yeah.
And I got like that reel went viral because there were so many people on opposite sides. There were liberal women who were being like mad that I wasn't more critical of these men, right? Because in my caption I said something like, "We got to support each other," blah blah blah, and they were like, "How could you say that?" And then I got a lot of conservative men who were like, "Well, I would also drink if my wife looked like you, or you liberal women are the idiots who are this is why I'm depressed,"
Yeah.
and like all sorts of stuff. And I was like, "Oh, this year I've learned that men and women do not like each other."
Yeah. Yeah. I want to do an episode. I read this book called The Tragedy of Heterosexuality, and I want to invite the author on to be a guest because this is
I'd
one
love
of the
to read
major
them.
points she makes. She's like, "What is up with heterosexuals? You guys seem to hate each other, like really
Hate each
deeply
other.
hate each other."
If you
Yeah.
look at anything on social media, which is like how everyone is learning about the social vibe, is like how do you get rid of how do you spot the signs of a toxic man? How do you break up with a toxic, right? Like
Yeah.
spot the enemy and and annihilate them. How do you basically get a high value man to want me, right? It's like this competitive, hostile view of dating and partnership. And men and women now are struggling with mental health issues completely alone, right? I feel bad for how many men have like written hate comments on my Instagram, but like legitimately saying like I am struggling, I'm depressed, I'm angry, I feel like used, and I feel like women just blame me for it. And I'm like, yeah, that sucks. Like
Yeah.
that. But then when I say that, like, oh, it sucks, then I get a bunch of women's like, how dare you condone abusive men? And I'm like, oh my God, like, can't win. Like, it's
Yeah.
just, I mean, that's just
It
something
is
that
disturbing.
really shocked me.
I mean, because you had that earlier post, and we've talked about it on this podcast about that post that where you talked about alt-right, but now you have a second post that literally just says like men are struggling, this is so sad, we need to help each other. And the comments on that, they weren't even against you this time. They were just against each other. It was like men and women warring in the comments. I was like, our society is burning down. Like
Yeah,
this is
I'm gonna link to those to those posts on this episode, so in the show notes. But yeah, the comments were like all no, one was like women have no empathy. I was
yeah.
like, all of them? Like, and like it's men's fault that they're depressed. Let them fix it. They
Hmm.
messed up our society. And I'm like, I get that point. And also like, we would want them to help us, right? It's just
Well,
it
also like
just is
which
so
men?
sad.
Which men did this and set up their society and set up patriarchy? Like the ones that are born today? Like, look, I mean, everybody participates in patriarchy, and yes, it causes lots of problems. It also causes problems for men, but we can't say that because men set up a system that the men that are, that exist within it are like Jason, my partner, did not design patriarchy. Alex, your husband did not design patriarchy. Like, we can't be like, well, fuck them because they designed patriarchy. It's like, no, they didn't. They were born into the system and then participated in it to the extent that, like, they were raised within it, right? Like, all of our cultural norms and values, they keep constructing patriarchy as it goes along, but no individual man was the designer and architect of patriarchy.
Yeah, but you could say that a lot of them benefit from it, and that's also just
Of
like
course,
silently, and
of
that's part
course.
of participating in it. Yeah, yes, we don't know who to point the finger and say you're depressed is your fault, right? And it's
Right.
like, and even so, even if like our husbands or partners are like the ones who made ones who made patriarchy, like made the Handmaid's Tale, and what is it,
Gilead?
Galilad,
Gilead?
Gilead, yeah, they made whatever. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, I just I,
That's my point.
be-
It's my point. Saying that they designed patriarchy is not a helpful comment. So it's like
and
say
like
they designed patriarchy, so they should suffer. That's not a helpful comment.
right, and what do we do about it? Like I don't
Right.
like we talked about another episode that humiliating each other is not the way, right? We just get angry at each other, like being like men and their toxicity, and I hate them.
Yeah.
And all of you guys need to feel sad about that. I mean, I understand that that trauma would lead to those feelings, but then all the men are like, screw you, then they get mad, right? So it's like, I don't think that's effective to fight oppression with more oppression, right? Like, I don't know. I'm waiting to get heat for this too, but I just think I literally I am really in a bind here because we say on this podcast, and it's truly what we believe, that our loved ones, our social network, have great impact on our mental health, right? Like if my husband were mean to me or didn't validate me or, was like whatever, didn't support me, I would be depressed. But then also to say that he's not responsible for my mental health, right? And to tell, well, if in Cool of Mind we're helping loved ones know what skill, like get skills and education to support their partners, let's say with depression or mental health issues, right? So if I'm helping, let's say women whose husbands have an alcohol problem, and I say you're not responsible for their drinking, it is not your fault, you're not the only ones to fix it, and yet here are skills to support them,
Yeah. I know it's
right? Like it's a
fragile.
nuance, like it makes sense to me, but it's a nuanced thing that's hard to communicate because once you say, hey, if you validate their emotions, they might be less angry, but then you're also not responsible for their anger.
Hmm.
Tricky, right? Cause and effect is really confusing.
Yeah. No, I mean 1,000%. Um, the sense of responsibility in relationships gets played with by both partners too. Like, look, I mean, if Jason were a dick to me, it's not like I would say to him, you know what, it's totally fine because it's my responsibility to not be affected by what you say. So you do you, and my responsibility is entirely my mental health is entirely my responsibility. But also, like, I was made to be responsible for a partner's mental health, and that was not fair either.
Yeah, and I think the challenge is that we are trying to, as a society, we're moving towards polarization and black and white thinking.
Yeah.
I'm totally at fault for everyone's problems, or it's your fault,
Well, you are a
right?
woman and
You're
you don't have to
toxic.
be.
I'm toxic. Who's toxic? There's one toxic person, but actually, it's like way more nuanced than that.
Yeah.
And it's hard to talk about that, that we like a toxic dynamic has two sides to it, right? And
Yeah. Hmm.
eh,
And one person in that dynamic can be lovely and also can still be a participant in
mhm.
what makes it toxic. So I don't know. It's tough. Um, so anything you are looking forward to exploring in season 6?
Lots of stuff. I'm excited to explore the outcome of our manifestation that we did last
True.
episode.
Hmm.
Are you going to feel financially secure? And am I going to feel like Cool of Mind is growing? And you guys can directly affect that by going to coolmind.com. But anyway, I'm excited. We haven't delved as much into alternative treatments for mental health that are emerging. Like there's a lot of exciting new things in AI and psychiatry and like psychedelics and ketamine and just like all these different forms of mental health treatment, like supplements and gut health. And I'm just, and there's some disorders we haven't covered yet, like we
It's
haven't
like
really talked about schizophrenia. Yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff we could talk about. So
I'm excited to talk about AI because, of course, I'm terrified that it'll take away my career. But it's that conversation seems to be like evolving in really interesting ways, and you've been involved in that conversation in ways that I
mhm.
haven't. So, love to hear from you about that. It is so funny that we still haven't done a psychiatry episode. We've talked about it for literal years. We just need
We've
to
just
get,
been really picky about the who we
yeah,
want as get. Like we could probably, there's a lot of psychiatrists, but we were like, oh, we have to get the right person. So
yeah,
we'll find someone that we like a lot.
yeah. Um, But please, if you guys have suggestions, if any kind of curiosities, we've done so many episodes based off of your questions and suggestions, so very much value that. Um, and yeah, I think that's it maybe for today.
Yeah, if you do have suggestions, there's at the top of the show notes, there's like send us a text. You click that and send us a message. That feature doesn't let us respond. So if you want us to respond, email Kibby, Kibby at coolamind.com, KULAMIND.com, or go to Jacqueline's
Yeah, on
Instagram.
Instagram at Trumbolina. I might change it to at Dr. Trumbolina just because it makes me giggle.
Ooh.
So yeah, one of those two.
We'll link it in the show notes so you can
Yeah.
get in contact anyway.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you all in about a month and a half for season 6. By accessing this podcast, I acknowledge that the hosts of this podcast make no warranty, guarantee, or representation as to the accuracy or sufficiency of the information featured in this podcast. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. This podcast and any and all content or services available on or through this podcast are provided for general, non-commercial informational purposes only and do not constitute the practice of medical or any other professional judgment, advice, diagnosis, or treatment, and should not be considered or used as a substitute for the independent professional judgment, advice, diagnosis, or treatment of a duly licensed and qualified healthcare provider. In case of a medical emergency, you should immediately call 911. The hosts do not endorse, approve, recommend, or certify any information, product, process, service, or organization presented or mentioned in this podcast, and information from this podcast should not be referenced in any way to imply such approval or endorsement.